Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Saba Show, and we are here for the Week 3 finals predictions for the AFL, and we have two very good matchups this week. And you know what? We had some very good games as well. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't that engaged in the semi-finals this week. Didn't really watch too much of it. Obviously, I'm bummed that I missed the majority of what was a brilliant game between the Dogs and the Lions, but regardless, we're here to do the recap and the predictions for the upcoming week. We'll just start off with the Geelong Giants game. The Cats, they did what they had to do, like they've done so many times before. Look, the Giants had a couple big outs last week. They had Toby Green out, they had Jesse Hogan out, two players that were huge for their success the week prior. So to not have those two in this week was just absolutely devastating for them. Fielding a very inexperienced forward line. So the Cats didn't really have many issues there dealing with them, and obviously the scoreboard showed that. The Giants only had about 4 goals until like the end of the third quarter. So yeah, they didn't really have that offensive danger going for them that they did the week before. But look, for the Cats, this was not convincing in any way possible, at least for the first half, that is. It was pretty low scoring, probably an eyesore for neutral supporters, but obviously if you're a Cats supporter, you were thrilled. Look, Zach Tui, big in for them. Radaglia also came in, and he was huge. So those two will have to play the week after. Or this upcoming week, because they were absolutely instrumental. I think Radaglia kicked a couple goals and was involved in a couple other goals that weren't scored directly by him. And then Tui, against Port, the Cats could never get past halfway. It was really, really disjointed. It always is slow play for Geelong, but Zach Tui allowed it to be a bit more fluent, a bit more smooth. He was involved in pretty much everything. He had 31 touches and had, I think, 4 clearances. That's correct. He had 4 clearances and, 31. So, you want to get the ball in his hands a lot, and they were able to do that successfully, and, it really contributed towards their success. Tom Hawkins, he kicked 5, very good haul from him. He's struggled in recent weeks to get on the scoreboard, but in a time where he needed to do it, he did. Even Menegola, he kicked 2 goals, had 29, and Reece Stanley, was able to dominate the ruck, especially when Mumford's not going to play the full game in ruck. So when Zach Sproul was in the ruck, or whoever it was, Reece Stanley, he was dominating that. So that's something that I don't think they exploited enough in this matchup a couple of weeks ago, but they were able to do it successfully, really. Look, I think I overestimated the Giants side a little bit and what they can do. I think they crashed back down to earth. Their backline is so inexperienced. It's not even funny. And they brought in a lot of, inexperienced players for this game as well. They brought in Connor Stone, who's played few games. Bobby Hill, he's only got a couple seasons worth under his belt. And then James Peatling was a mid-season draftee. And then Phil Davis. Phil Davis is Phil Davis, but regardless, they were in a bit of strife at both ends of the ground. And Stephen Coniglio as well. Is it a case of the Giants having too many midfielders? I'm not sure. Because you can't have Taranto playing forward, you can't have Coniglio playing forward. They're too good for that. It's just like a Carlton. Murphy probably had a bit more in him in the midfield. But they ran him into the ground on the half-forward flank. So you hope they're not doing the same thing to Coniglio. Having a look at the stats, Taranto got 20 and Coniglio got 14. 14 is just way below standard for Coniglio. You want the ball in his hands. Let's be honest. So he should be getting 30. He's got the ability to get 30 and be damaging with the 30, but getting 14 and having no influence on the game isn't going to cut it. So they've got to work that out, get the right balance for the start of next year. But that's another season gone for GWS and for Geelong. It's going to be a interesting matchup this upcoming week against the D's. Melbourne, Geelong, a couple of weeks ago, Geelong coughed this win up. that could have seen them be the minor premiers, and this would have changed the whole, landscape of the final series. Melbourne finished top or finished second, Geelong finished top. All the matchups change. I'm still not sold on Geelong at all, because Geelong have shown that they are very vulnerable, especially without Tom Stewart. But this week you could see a bit more confidence in them. Zach Tui, as I said, big in. Mitch Duncan, he's getting more games under his belt. That's what you want from someone of that caliber. Gary Rowan did not go missing this game, 2 goals and 13. So that's, something you want to see going into the upcoming week against the D's. But look, I can see him easily scoring no goals and getting 8 touches again, like he did against the Power. So, you look at the D's, as I said, whoever plays against the D's, they've just got to sort out the one flaw, or the 2 flaws that they have, because they don't have many. They're very strong all around the ground, and they've got a lot of depth. So if someone goes down injured, they've got plenty of backup. Yeah, look, I just can't see Geelong winning this game. Look, they look much better. I'll give them credit against GWS. But in saying that, GWS, fielding a very weak side, did very well to get to the semi-finals. But I think they got a little bit of a reality check. The reliance on Toby Green is nuts. But yeah, Geelong. In saying that, I can't go past Melbourne for this clash. They've shown that they can deal with the best. And I think earlier in the season we were very hesitant on that. But look, the last few weeks, or the last few matches they've played Brisbane, beaten them comprehensively. They beat Geelong. That one was a bit iffy. But look, they showed the grit to get back in the game and then win the game. Albeit some interesting umpire calls. But in saying that, I cannot talk about questionable umpire calls with Geelong. So, yeah. I just don't think Geelong have done it convincingly. And I think the Melbourne Demons, they don't have flaws. So the Cats aren't going to get bailed out by anything in this game. I just think they're going to be too classy. They're going to get overrun by this very, very good game style that the D's have got going. We move on to the other game. And then we look forward to this week's fixture. Brisbane Bulldogs. This was hilarious because AFL Instagram after the game was absolutely popping off, saying the Lions were robbed. Look, that block in the middle of the ground that resulted in the final Bulldogs behind, I think it was a fair call. Yeah, you just didn't let Tim English get to the ball, really. You just ran into him. So I think that's a fair block. Look, that you could easily say that, they got that call, and the Lions got that bullshit deliberate, right? The Caleb Daniel deliberate was just... it sprayed off the side of his foot, and they've called insufficient intent. How is it insufficient intent when you're not even aiming to kick it out? It sprays off the side of your boot, and you're still getting pinged for it. It's not insufficient intent. It's just you with a humane error. It's really that simple. But that's the problem with the rule, really. The umpires just do not know what insufficient intent actually means. And it could have easily cost the Bulldogs a win, because I think the Lions got a behind off that. And if the Bulldogs don't get the behind of their own from that questionable free kick, it's a draw, and potentially the Bulldogs could lose in extra time. Look, the Lions, they were just overrun. They were up by like 3 goals. Very good position in the third quarter. It was their game to lose, and they lost it. Look, Joe Danaher went missing. I did say last week that without, a proper presence in the forward line to support Joe Danaher, he was going to find it very, very difficult to score goals. And I think he kicked 1 goal and had 6 touches in this game. So, yeah, you want a bit more influence from your key. Obviously, Tom Hawkins did it in his game, and it was a difference maker, obviously. But yeah, 1 goal in a final is not good enough from your key forward. And then it relied on the smalls to get involved a bit more. Charlie Cameron in that first quarter was absolutely electric. 2 goals or 3 goals from him, which was just... It was brilliant to watch when I watched the highlights back. if there was anyone that was going to win this game for Brisbane, it was going to be off Charlie's boot. But yeah, then the Jack Payne injury happened, and then it was just disaster from there. You have Ryan Lester as your third tall, and Tom Fullerton as your second. So talk about a lack of depth in that department. They've just been absolutely stiffed by tolls getting injured in the last 6 weeks or so. First Hipwood, then McStay, and then Jack Payne as well. And then Jared Berry went off as well to a head knock. For the Bulldogs, Cody Waitman went out with a head knock as well. Had a very good goal in the second quarter. But look, the Dogs, I mean, full credit to them. I thought that, they weren't going to win this game. I think the dewy conditions played into it a little bit. I said that if it was going to be slippery, those type of dewy, wet conditions, whether it was raining or just the Queensland dew, I think it would have played into the Dogs' favour, and I reckon it did. Jack McRae had a field day, 39 touches and a goal. I mean, that's what you want from your big guys. They needed to step up, and they did. Bontempelli, he's going to be sweating on, getting through the week and being able to play in a very crucial prelim for them. Because it looked like he had a bit of a knock on the knee in the final 2 minutes, which is not what you want. It's the last thing you want. But he was pretty good. It wasn't at his best, but he was good. I mean, probably the player of the game is Bailey Smith, who decided to unleash the D-Lo celebration, ice in his veins. I mean, very good game from the pocket. And you know what? You can celebrate however you want. If you kick a goal on your left in the clutch from the pocket, it's extremely difficult, and he did it. So, I mean, talk about pressure, But, I mean, 2 goals in the last quarter and, 3 for the match is just an unbelievable return for someone that's been in the league for only a couple of years. So, I mean, this is going to be very, very interesting to see how they go this week. Because, as I said, I ruled them out to win this one. If it was at the Gabba, which it was, I ruled them out. And, they proved me wrong. And look, you give them every opportunity to win this week against the Power, because they got very close to them in round 23, I believe it was. I think they lost by 2 points, and they had a couple of opportunities to win it as well. Bailey Smith from the pocket had that opportunity in the dying stages to win it, but that could have changed the landscape of the finals too. They win that game, they're in the 4, and this fixture may not be happening, But I think if we look forward to the upcoming week, I mean, the Bulldogs, they've come good at the right time of the year. I guess even if you're a Bulldogs supporter, you're not very confident a couple of weeks ago, given they'd lost, I think, their last 4, or they won in their last month of the season, and that's not the form you want going into the finals. But they were able to fight back the last couple of weeks. First against the Bombers, they were facing defeat at a couple times, and I mean, in both games they were facing defeat, and they were able to show up in the big time, and pretty much just get over the line. I think Josh Shackey has been a revelation as well. He kicked a couple big goals and took a couple crucial marks as well on the weekend, and that also was a difference maker. I mean, when it's a 1-point ball game, there's a lot of difference makers, a lot of hypotheticals. If this didn't happen, you lose. If this happened, there could have been a different result. Josh Shackey was involved in all of that. I think Cody Waitman's going to be out this week. I mean, he got a head knock, so that's going to be unfortunate for him, because he was pretty big, in the time he was on against Brisbane, and he was the week prior, obviously, against the Bombers. The Power, they've improved. They have improved a lot. But, I mean, in past prelim finals, they just have been this close and never been able to get over the hump. It's threatening to be the exact same storyline this year with the Bulldogs, because I believe the Bulldogs, at their best, I mean, they can beat anyone. That's why they're in the prelim final. But based on it, I think the Power are going to be just good enough. I don't say that with confidence, because the Dogs have proven to stand up in the big moments, and if they get faced with that again, they can easily do it. But the Power, they comprehensively did a number on Geelong, who, yeah, I mean, their defensive performance was very strong. The Bulldogs, I mean, can they counter that with a good offensive performance? Potentially. But in saying that, is there enough experience in that Bulldogs forward line to get the job done? And even in the back line, I mean, Alex Keith has shut down some really good players in recent weeks. And I think he did that against Dixon in round 23. He didn't give him really anything. I can see the same here with Dixon scoring maybe 2 goals tops, but in saying that, their forward line, their smalls are really, really threatening. They've got tools all over the park. Marshall, Georgiades, Laddams, the list rolls on. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of depth in that side. So, look, I think Port, if there's going to be one year that they make the grand final, this is going to be the year. And, you know, I'm going to call them to make the final against the D's at Optus Stadium next week. It's going to be close. I think these 2 games are going to live up to hype, to the expectations. I think they're going to be 2 really tight games. I think we're going to see plenty of big moments. But look, every time I try to predict the upset, I always get it horribly wrong. So look, I'm just going to go with the team that's looked better, the team that's looked more polished and refined. The Power are coming off a week's rest. Sometimes that proves to be a curse. You take a bit more time to get into the game. But in saying that, I think that the Power will benefit off the rest because the Bulldogs have played a really grueling contest against the Lions. So, yeah, I think the Power, you know, on their home turf, they're pretty formidable there. I love using that word, but I think they're just going to be too good, and I think they'll face off against Melbourne in the grand final. That's all from me. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like the video, subscribe if you want to see more sports content, and that is all from me. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.